Welcome back to our real estate morning show. My name is Dylan Silvernagle. This is my wife Jennifer. We're realtors with Keller Williams, and together we've been helping families make smart real estate decisions for 12 and 13 years. This is our real estate morning show where we bring you all the news around the GTA that we think you need to know about. We've got 3 items on the list today. I'm going to jump right in. First one, we forgot to mention this last week, was the interest rates. The Bank of Canada came out and said that they held their interest rates at 1.75, as you had read before that they were likely to do.
Yeah.
So this is good news. We have had a bunch of rate hikes, so it's nice to see a little bit of a pause. Bank economists have cited lower oil prices and decrease in our national GDP as the main reasons for this, which makes sense.
Yeah, it does, absolutely.
And I think this will be a good thing. It'll give the real estate market a little bit more of a chance to keep going. People have had a hard time getting lending in general, so let's pause those rate hikes just for a moment and see what that does for us.
Yeah, at least we're finishing out the year at the same rate, which is nice, because to have that happen in December again would have been a pretty big hit, I think,
absolutely.
for the final month of the market. But
yeah, and so they meet again January 9th,
okay,
so we'll watch and see what happens. If we start hearing any rumors about potentially a raise at that point, of course we'll bring it up. At the meantime, it sounds like most people are still predicting that we'll see at least 2 rate hikes in 2019.
Yeah.
Probably both at a quarter of a point there. So
makes sense.
Yeah. I'm going to jump into the next topic, which is something that we covered last week. We were talking about the East End Waterfront development project that's partnered with Sidewalk Labs there, an affiliate of Google.
Yeah.
It looks really cool. It's supposed to be this, future tech development community, but it's in the news because of a little bit of controversy. So since the beginning, people have been nervous about the amount of data that's going to be collected. And it's a smart community, so of course that does rely on some data collection.
I think everything does, That's
I'm sure right now our data is being collected on how long our iPads are.
Yeah,
open, right?
it's a pretty common thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the Sidewalk Labs, and I guess the project in general, has been really good about having community meetings where people have come out and voiced their concerns. But I think the real reason why it's in the news this week is just last week, the Ontario Auditor General released a report specifically on Waterfront Toronto and saying that they didn't like how things were being managed, and then that got followed up with 3 board members being fired.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so there is a little bit of a shakeup going on over there.
Yeah, jeez.
But I wouldn't let that. There's some elements of that are a little bit more political than necessarily just what's going on with this specific development.
Okay.
So we're not going to dig into that too much. But it sounds like the next, the master draft for this development is supposed to be coming out in January. And at that time is also where we'll hear who owns the data that's being collected, how it's being used, is it being used for advertising, what's the privacy elements. So
they're going to publish all of that information.
Yeah, and so here's the other tricky thing is that the Sidewalk Labs is going to give this report to Waterfront Toronto. Then they're going to look at it, make their recommendations before making it public. So if they don't like anything in there, they're going to change it before they release it.
Right.
And a lot of people are calling for more transparency. We want to see what the report actually says or what the plans actually are to begin with before the recommendations come in, because we want to know how they're making these decisions.
Right, or what they're basing them on.
Yeah exactly. Okay. So we'll keep watching this, and again, there might be more news between here and January, but likely nothing until January at this point. These developments are always long-term stuff.
Yeah, it's too bad for the 3 people that got let go, though. I mean, it's unfortunate timing with the.
Well, I mean, they still have their jobs. They're just not on the board at Waterfront Toronto anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and you've got something for us as well that we wanted to take a look at, right?
I do, yeah. So we haven't really touched on this topic before, but there's an article that just came out, and it is very much based on RBC's policies. So I want to be very clear on that. It's not all the major banks, but it's about lending for U.S. purchases. So Canadians in general spend about $10 billion a year investing in the States. So it's a pretty big market. But what's been going on with the increasing interest or exchange rate and the changes that we're seeing there, Canadians are kind of holding back on investing. So RBC has actually made some changes. Okay. A lot of people don't actually even know that you can get a mortgage in Canada to buy a property in the U.S., but you can do that. So RBC has looked at their stuff and basically said, okay, we're going to make it a little bit easier, specifically in Florida. I mean, it seems to be the main area that they're targeting because they're considering it lower risk. Okay. But I'm sure there's probably a couple other pockets as well that would fit where Canadians tend to go. And what they're saying is they're going to change their lending policies that they have a little bit to make it easier for Canadians. So right now, if you're buying an income property in the States, that you're renting out 100% of the time all throughout the year, you can get up to 75% lending from RBC.
So you have to put down 25%.
So you're putting down 25% on that property, which is actually pretty reasonable because the price points are so much lower than what we have here that coming up with that 25 isn't that significant. And then what they're saying is the rentals in Florida, again specifically right now, are about $3,000 to $4,000 a month.
Wow. So
your income is almost covering your mortgage plus your taxes plus your homeowner association fees, which are much more common in the States based on how they build their developments than what we see here. And then the same goes for condo properties and stuff like that. So the numbers are really starting to make sense. But the cooler thing what RBC has done that I think will make a bigger difference for a lot of people is if you're buying a property in the States, again, specific to Florida right now, but that where you're going to go and stay there for like 6 weeks or 8 weeks out of the year, but then you have it rented the rest of the year, then they're changing that from requiring 40% down to requiring 20% down.
Very nice, yeah.
So there's a big drop there in what you need to put up front. And again, because your rental rates are so high, the numbers are just making so much sense for people. So that's what's going on there. I'm sure if you went to some of the other competitive big banks that they have something similar, or they're going to be kind of trending along the same way, because usually they do, and they are. However, like I said, I can only speak to the RBC reference because that's
what you were
I was
at.
researching.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I thought that was really cool. It's something that a lot of Canadians do. We talk about snowbirds all the time.
Yeah.
And so if you are thinking about doing that, then now's a good time to maybe go to the bank and see what those numbers would actually work out for you, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, always in these situations, talk to your accountant, talk to like a tax specialist,
know
and
your
finding
taxes,
out those things.
and also your laws, or your state laws and things like that, because they are very different once you're getting into international investment.
But news like this is a great opportunity to take a look and say, hey, if you do have that capital and you are able, or that is something that you're interested in, that now may be an easier time to make that happen than before.
Yeah, exactly. And you're saving 20%, so I mean, why not, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yep, that was it for me for today. So I think, is there anything else that you wanted to say?
No, that was perfect for today.
No, that was everything perfect. So that's our show for today. Thank you for joining us as always, and don't forget to subscribe and like the show and follow us and all that, so you don't miss any more episodes. And as we always say, if you have any feedback, any comments, or if there's any topics you'd like us to cover that we don't get to in the show, please let us know. We would love to do that for you. Other than that, we have another show coming out on Thursday. We've got shows every Tuesday and Thursday of every week. And thank you so much for watching.